Okay, so welcome to the Sphere.it podcast. My name's Peter Ratcliffe. I'll be your host. I'm really glad to be here today covering off some really interesting trends in digital transformation, specifically in the domain of insurance. And today I brought a special guest to our podcast who will be with me for a number of episodes where we're going to be covering some very interesting and complex change situations that have gone on in the past. So I wanted to introduce Dan Fiehn. He is an expert in the insurance market, has been in the market for about 30 years as a leader in strategy and operations for the insurance marketplace. Welcome, Dan.
Hi, Peter. Yeah, thanks. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, right? We've wanted to do this for a little while. So I'm really looking forward to sort of getting into it and sort of unpicking a lot of the complexity that's involved in digital transformation, specifically within insurance, right? Because, historically, it's one of these places that has been thought of as a slow mover, probably not moving so fast as the banks and other financial markets. And, technology is well far ahead these days, right? And it's really interesting to see what insurance companies are doing and how they're sort of transforming through technology, which is why we want to talk to you, because we know you've been there, you've seen it, you've done it. So really I wanted to talk a little bit about, first and foremost, is, how has digital transformation impacted insurance? Where is it going? What have been the challenges from your experience? And what does it really mean?
Yeah, sure. Well, there's quite a few questions you rolled in there. And I think, it is an exciting time to be in technology and insurance. Answering the first question, what does it mean? So to me, digital transformation is about modernising processes, maximising the use of data, and then taking advantage of new technologies. All with a view to driving efficiencies across a company, improving customer journeys. So there's lots going on in this space, and there's lots of angles that different insurance companies are looking to leverage. Okay,
so those angles are particularly what in your mind?
Well, so one of the drivers is around improving customer journeys.
Right.
So traditionally, insurance may be perceived as kind of quite clunky, and us as individuals, we expect more now from companies. So lots of the large insurers particularly have focused on improving those journeys, making it easier to buy insurance, making sure the pricing is kind of optimised for each of us as an individual, and taking away kind of any of the kind of bumps in the road.
So technology's kind of moved that needle a little bit, right? Because people react differently these days. They're more digital mindset focused. They want everything now. They want it quicker. They want that engagement. So I guess insurance has to kind of keep up with that, right? They have to try to adopt to that.
Yeah, sure. So I think us as individuals, we're driving that. We're expecting more. We don't want to spend hours on the phone trying to get a price for our insurance. We want to go on an app and we want to get, we want to be able to get prices and compare them with other people. And that's been around for some time now. So we kind of expect that. But now when we have a claim on an insurance policy, again, we're expecting sort of a high degree of customer service. We want decisions made quicker. We don't want to have to make lengthy phone calls, chasing things up. We want electronic payments. So, but this bleeds across our whole life. We just expect things quicker now. So, and that expectation is pushing insurers to kind of make processes better.
So operationally, what does that mean for an insurance business today? Because it's almost, they've got to push more, they've got to change, look at the processes, they've got to analyse things like data, maybe even technology change. How does that happen? Where does that kind of start? What do you do in that situation when you realise that you've got to change?
Well, there's a number of factors. So I think the first thing is having, insurers need to have a good understanding of their current processes. And so I encourage the people that I've worked with to kind of map those out so you can see kind of how complicated they are and where there's bottlenecks. So once you've got good sight of what the customer journeys look like, you can then start putting in a roadmap to kind of smooth those out and streamline, look at technologies to make things more efficient, look at leveraging data to make better decisions and kind of fast track the journey.
Okay. And sort of from an executive level, there's a lot of discussions around the direction of travel for these businesses and the sort of level of investment that's required in things like transformation. In your experience, how do those decisions get made and what's driving that? What are the things from a business perspective that says to these guys, I need to get this done and I need to find that extra bit of budget to make those changes?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of fundamental drivers, I guess. So one of them, customer retention is really important. So having good customer journeys, good customer satisfaction, then that leads to improved retention. So that's a key thing. And if you can look to put a financial value on that, then that can be a reason for investing in the technology. And another key driver is kind of driving economies of scale. So insurers are getting larger and larger. There's lots of acquisitions in the market space. And so to drive economies of scale across your operation is kind of paramount. So again, using digital transformation to free up resources across the organisation is key. So having a financial kind of benchmarking against that is kind of at a board level is driving some of that change.
Okay. So does that kind of transcend into looking at automation, for example, in certain processes and trying to decrease the manual side of the work that happens? And this is where kind of machine learning and automated systems can help with that kind of problem.
Yeah, 100%. So it could be something as simple as being able to automatically take a picture of a document and then converting that into digital format, or it could be as sophisticated as taking data and using machine learning algorithms to make predictions about future events. So it can be something quite simple, or it can be something quite complicated.
And we talked about this a little bit, over a beer, I'm sure, but looking at how the people that are the insurance specialists, the people that have been in the domain a long time, whether you're an underwriter or a claims specialist, is having that sort of intuitive technology available to you that feels and looks like what you're used to is quite important. So is that something that's being considered when people are developing these systems? Is it important to sort of have that engagement with those people, to have them bought into the system and inputting the outcomes in that regard?
Yeah, definitely. So you need to take people on a journey, so internal people as well as your customers. I think one of the challenges in recent times is that technology is moving at such a pace, organisations can't keep up. So it's quite hard for established executive teams to know what is possible with tech. So yes, they need to be taken on a journey. And one of the other challenges is people in the technology world talk a different language to the people in the business world, and so there's often a kind of a mismatch. So more time needs to be spent in bringing the technology to life and to explain to people, the so what of some of these emerging trends.
Right. Okay. So the investments, from the board level down to the management level, from an operational perspective and the technology level, there needs to ideally be more cohesion around the decision making, a little bit more articulation of the value. And then I'm guessing, the typical trend that I've seen from the companies that I've worked in, IT works in like this ivory tower where they have complete control of the secure environments. They know where the data is. They want to protect it and look after it. Then you've got the innovators that are looking in saying, we want access to that. And they find it really hard because of the governance and controls that are baked in. So those kind of situations we really need to kind of try to avoid, right? We need to get out of that kind of them and us situation and get a little bit more collegiate with the decisions that we're making, right?
Yeah, definitely. There needs to be a really strong alignment between the kind of organisational goals and then the operational strategy that's kind of delivering those goals. I think gone is the time where you can go on these lengthy programs that are multi-year. So speed to value is really important. Okay. So when you embark on sort of like a digital transformation, it sounds like it's really grand and it's going to take a long time, but you need to break it down into kind of achievable chunks, and you're delivering value, in short cycles.
Yeah, I can see that. And I think like the way that sort of the things like agile methods and things like that work kind of help that approach a little bit. You know, there's methods out there that customers that I've worked with have tried to adopt. It hasn't always worked, to be fair, you know, because there's an understanding of what agile is and what it can bring to your business, but it's also agile thinking and how you sort of break these problems down, like you're saying, into little chunks and deliver the value over a shorter amount of time. But then you've got people that are expecting things, and it doesn't always work, right? Sometimes you have to change the idea. Sometimes you need to pivot, and you have to think, that investment was okay, but it didn't really get us to where we want to go. So what's the next thing? And I guess just having that knowledge and comfort in the decisions you're making, right? Across the team, everyone needs to understand that we're pushing in the same direction, trying to get the same amount of value out of these little investments, right? And I think that's quite important.
Yeah, and I think you touched on something there. So you're talking about changing ways of working and operating models, but at the same time you're changing the technology, and those two changes running together can be a lot for companies to absorb. And so I think that's why I see in some occasions, agile is quite hard to take on board. People know what it is and what it should be, but you're fundamentally changing two things at the same time. So I think, again, business leaders and technology leaders need to work better at like structuring teams, to take some of the kind of mystique away, so that you've got that kind of speed of improvement, but without kind of a whole new language about scrums and storyboarding and all this, which will be alien to lots of people.
Yeah, so there's a skills kind of gap there as well, isn't there? Because you've got quite a lot of these insurance companies that have been long-standing existing IT teams, long-standing operational teams, and you have to try and bring them along the journey, make sure there's good education, good training, and even getting some external partners in from time to time to sort of, you know, strengthen that whole thing.
Yeah, 100%. So quite often you'll see agile is in the technology teams, but doesn't bleed across. So you very rarely see kind of enterprise agility across the whole organisation, and I think that's because there's just too much change going on at once, and there is a kind of a limit to what people can do. So that is a barrier as well that needs to be overcome. So it's not just the changing the processes and changing the tech, but it's changing the ways of working to deliver those kind of benefits as quickly as possible.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I want to take it, back up a level to sort of the executive level decisions that are made around transformation. And I think one thing that you and I kind of agree in is that there isn't enough tech kind of engagement at that level. They don't get a seat at the table, and I think that's something that is changing. But is that something you've seen? Do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a number of studies by companies like Gartner and the like that support that. So there's very few IT people with an IT background at a board level, whether it's a non-exec director or kind of so that I think that's a fair comment. I think and because there isn't people representing the technology teams at that table, a lot of decisions are made without that in mind.
Right. Okay. Good. Look, thanks very much. I think we've come to the end of our first episode. I'm hoping you guys found that interesting. We've got more episodes coming up, so please join us at the Sphere.it podcast for the next episode. See you soon.